Welcome to Espresso Jams, short, concentrated, delicious conversations about business, life, and more. And now, here's your host, Joe Matz.
Hello, everyone. Joe Matz here again with another edition of Espresso Jams, short, concentrated, delicious conversations. Today, I have the pleasure of having Dave Howard with us. Dave Howard is the founder, owner of Moment Storm Media, and he helps lead customers to success and lead customers to value so that your customers are more happy with you. They love you more, they keep coming back. And with that, let me introduce Dave Howard. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Joe.
Great to
Good
have
to
you
be
here.
Great to be here.
Let's start, if you would please, tell us a little bit about what you've got going with Moment Storm Media.
Well, Joe, what I've been working on the last while is working with customers to understand how their customers expect them to show up with respect to the product or service that they offer. And so I spend a fair amount of time trying to help organizations figure out how they can educate their customers to work more effectively with them, how they can create programs that help ensure the success of customers who are working with them using their product or service. And we spend a fair amount of time trying to figure out just what it is that customers they have are trying to accomplish in working with their service so that they can tailor what they do to meet those objectives as opposed to maybe the ones they're familiar with for themselves.
Interesting. It brings to mind the espresso coffee beans that I buy to make my espresso, and they actually have tutorials on how to make the best espresso, how to get that crema on top. But that's not what I bought. I bought the beans. Does that make sense in your world?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that sometimes the way to think about this is that customers coming to you will probably have one of three levels that they're hoping you can help them with. Maybe in the basic level, let's take your espresso beans thing, is they know how to make espresso, they know all the elements, they have all the equipment, they're just looking for a good, reliable supplier of beans that every time they buy beans, they know what they get, and it always works for them. So that's one layer, and that's kind of very basic and easy for you to achieve if you're committed to delivering a high quality product. The next level is somebody who's, been drinking drip coffee for a long time, thinks that they'd really like to get into the espresso area, got an espresso machine for Christmas, something like that, and now they've got to figure out how to use it. So they go out and buy beans, but they still aren't sure how to make a perfect cup of espresso. But along comes Joe and his espresso company, and he says, well, you know what? I've got a whole series of tutorials, YouTube videos, downloadable elements, fact sheets, whatever, that tell you about all the different types of espresso drinks, how to make them, what are the pitfalls in trying to make them well, and you can become a great espresso lover just by following the guidelines that we provide as well.
So now we're getting into the part that's not included in the price of the espresso beans, but it's educating the customer to have success with the product that they bought, so they keep coming back.
Exactly. So if that's what your customer is looking for from you, the more that you can do to help them achieve the objective they have, which is a great cup of espresso, the more likely they are to come back, as you say, continue to buy your beans. But even more important to you, probably, the more likely they are to tell other people about, hey, you know what? I started buying these beans, and they have all this great resources on how to make great espresso drinks. And some time ago, I read a book that was really influential to me. It was a book by Kathy Sierra called Badass: Making Your Customers Awesome. And one of the things she talks about is not making a better product, but making a better user of your product. And so this is a perfect kind of segue to that. She would say the best possible objective from a marketing standpoint is for your customers to be making great espresso drinks, giving them to their friends who are amazed at how great the espresso is and how much better it is than the espresso they get at home or have had from other people. And they want to know, how did you do that? And you say, well, it's great. I use these beans and they're absolutely central to the whole thing. But I also learned all this information about how to make great espresso from the website. You guys should check it out. And new customers looking for better espresso because they got a word of mouth recommendation from an existing client of yours.
So that almost sounds like, to me, the how to create raving fans. I've heard the term raving fans, but there wasn't a whole lot of information on how to create those raving fans. So you talked about three levels. And we got to the second level, which is my friends having great espresso and then going to the website and buying from the educator bean seller. What would be the next level?
Well, I think the next level is somebody who really wants to get extremely good. Maybe they want to get into the business of selling coffee. Maybe they want to have kind of an ability to expand the range of drinks that they produce, or the variety of ways in which they can explore your products and your services. And so they're really looking for somebody who's almost a strategic partner with them in their interest in espresso and becoming really good at it. And that is more than just simply providing solutions. That might be the point at which your espresso bean company moves out into selling specific machines, because you believe that, a certain line of machines are particularly good at creating great drinks consistently. And so you recommend that people buy into those products and you make them available through your chain, your supply chain as well. It could be that you are in the business of supporting people who want to have a little coffee shop or a little process, something like that. And so you educate them on what some of the things are that would make their business successful beyond just simply creating a great cup of coffee. And that's because they've decided what they're really looking for from you as a strategic partner, somebody who understands the bigger objective they have and is willing to work as hard as they are almost at getting them there.
So when I used to manage a restaurant, we had a number of competing food suppliers. We're buying, over $100,000 of food every month from them. And one of the fellows always came into the kitchen and he said, "We've got this new cut of beef, we've got this new product, and it's so easy. It comes from the freezer to the oven to the table. It's so easy. This is how you do it." And he would cook it for us right there. And we ended up buying most of our products from that fellow. And he'd come in with a big truck and deliver. It was because he provided more. He was interested in our success. And I think I've never thought about it. Well, I've thought about it that way, but you make it very clear. The way that
I think sometimes what happens is you shift then from being just a salesperson or just a supplier. Let's say on the basic level 1, you're just a supplier. On level 2, you're a solution sales provider. But on level 3, you become an expert in the business that's central to what it is that you do, supplying great food, supplying great resources, supplying great solutions, supplying great processes. And as you say, you sort of naturally end up gravitating towards the experts in your life that make your business easier to run, regardless of whether they actually check all the other boxes, because you trust them and they have your best interest in heart. So
yeah, I mean, most salespeople came into the restaurant. I was like, "No, I'm not here. I'm not here." But this guy, I was like, "Yeah, let's talk."
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great example, is that when you achieve that kind of expert status, what you've done is you shifted from being somebody who might tend to get a standoff reaction from people because they're afraid you're going to sell them something or you're going to push them to do something they don't want to do, to somebody that you're happy to see because you know that that person is here to help you get better at what you do or support you in getting to where you want to go. And the expert really kind of, we used to talk about it in a business. I had kind of changing sides of the table, getting as quickly as possible to being on the same side of the table with the customer, so that every time you come to a point of saying, "Well, you know what, you maybe really should consider this other product that we have," your customer thinks, "Well, you would only be suggesting that if you've thought about it and understand what we're trying to accomplish and think that this would be beneficial for us to do. That you aren't suggesting it just because it's an upsell or an additional way to make some money. You wouldn't do that." So
that is great. This is such great stuff. And I want to ask you, to our listeners, what would you recommend? I know we have a great variety of listeners, so it's a difficult question. Is there something they could do today to help make their customers and their clients more successful?
Well, I think ultimately a lot of this, Joe, comes down to communication and really understanding your current clients. And I think many businesses don't take the time to kind of step back and perhaps have a conversation with their customers to really understand what customers are hoping to accomplish, maybe short-term and long-term. I see this a lot with respect to small businesses that do really well. You recognize that there was a lot of times when their business grew out of the conversations they had with their customers, where they would set time aside to say, what are you really trying to do here? How can I help you? How can I support you in those things? So I think that's the place to start, is to talk to your current customers, make sure you understand which of those 3 levels they kind of ideally would like you to be interacting with them on, and then start thinking about how you can adjust what you do or change your processes a little bit, or even just bring in partners or other resources that can help your customers get to where they want to be. Sometimes a small business owner gets daunted by, well, I can't create a massive customer education program, but maybe you can, isolate some videos on YouTube that you think are helpful and just refer people to go and look at them, and that'll help them out as well.
Super. And Dave, how can people get in touch with you if they want to know more? Where can they find you?
You can find me on the web at momentstorm.com. And I love having conversations with people about what it is they're hoping to accomplish with respect to their clients. So if you go to momentstorm.com, you'll see that the easiest thing to do is just get into a little bit further conversation about what you're hoping to do. You and I met through a process of trust-based selling, and we are not, either of us, I'm sure, interested in selling people things they don't need. We're interested in identifying whether there are problems that we can help them with. And so that would be the nature of the conversation. And I would look forward to chatting with anybody who's interested in just seeing where this might take them.
Super. And I would recommend everyone, if you found something of interest here, get in touch with Dave. Great guy to talk with. There's no pressure, and he's just here to help. Very good.
Thanks, Joe.
Dave. Thanks for being with us. And hey, have a great
My
day.
pleasure. All right. You too. Take care. Thanks, Joe.